I want to talk about this Brock Purdy, Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance situation,
The
right?
love triangle?
The love triangle, you know? And at first I was thinking about it in terms of quarterbacks, but it's the
Yeah.
wrong way to think about it.
Okay.
You got to think about it in terms of Kyle Shanahan,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Because we talked about, well, can Jimmy Garoppolo win a Super Bowl? And, is he talented enough? And can he get there? Obviously he can get there, but what's the limiting factor? And my opinion was the limiting factor is, will Kyle have faith enough in him not to take the ball out of his hands?
Like he does with every quarterback.
Like he does with every quarterback.
Yeah.
So when we go into the playoffs, if he's just going to take the ball out of Jimmy Garoppolo's hands, then it doesn't matter if he goes to Jimmy in the playoffs or if he sticks with Purdy or whatever, right?
Either way, you're going to have an extremely constipated offense.
Right.
You know?
So if I want to take, is Purdy better than Jimmy off the table? Because obviously you cannot compare a seventh round rookie to a 10-year vet. Like it's not a fair comparison. It's not the conversation we should be having. The conversation we should be having is, can Kyle Shanahan, on his third try at a quarterback this season, find a guy that he has faith to run his offense? Because
also, can Kyle Shanahan keep this one upright too? It's like a dual, two-pronged question.
Right.
Keep him healthy, bud.
Because it really doesn't matter if, Brock Purdy looks good or looks promising if he's all banged up and, limping around by the time the playoffs come. So, I think what we got to look at is, in a perfect world, Jimmy comes back for the playoffs, and of course you go with him because, he's the established vet.
Right.
Same thing with Lance. Lance is the starting quarterback of this football team. If he's ready to go in any capacity, he should be on the field the moment that he's medically cleared. Right?
That being said, the Niners have worked very hard to say that neither one is coming back this year. That basically forget Lance, and there is the smallest of smallest hopes that Jimmy could come back, which is interesting.
Right.
I mean, they've been very public with that.
You don't want to be publicly putting pressure on a player to come back in that situation.
True.
We're banking on Jimmy coming back, or we're banking on Lance coming back, and then if they don't come back, they let the team down, or it could be perceived in a certain way. Right. And you don't want any part of that. So
you still think that Jimmy's going to make that triumphant run back onto the court like Willis Reed? Yeah.
Dude, if he can
is that
walk,
Jimmy Garoppolo's music? It's going to happen. Yeah.
If he can walk, he's going to be trying to get on the field in the first week of the playoffs. I don't think they should let him.
Yeah.
I don't think that a hobbled Jimmy Garoppolo is better than whatever your other options are, right? We saw that last year. We saw him with a bad shoulder and a bad thumb and how limited he was and how much better he was this season once he'd had the surgery and once he was healthy. He's one of those guys that looks good when all of the conditions are perfect, but the moment that you give him some adversity like that, he's going to struggle. He doesn't have any plus attributes that overwhelm, the deficiencies of an injury or not playing in 8 weeks or any of those other things. So if Kyle can find faith in Purdy to run his offense, then play with Purdy. If
and the team can too. It seems like they're rallying around him. I mean, listen to Ayuk.
But the major concern, and I've heard you voice this the last, 3 days. What happens when you get a book on a player, right?
Look at Bailey Zappi. He was the toast of New England. They were like, man, this guy's better than Mac Jones. And then 3 weeks later, hey, man, you just sit on the bench forever. That's what happened to him. And he was drafted ahead of this guy.
So the chances of him being missed on and actually being the guy, right? Because every rookie quarterback goes through the same progression development cycle. They struggle, then they figure some stuff out, then the league adjusts, and then whether they can adjust back determines whether they have a career, right?
Whether they're a starter or not.
Yeah, whether they're a starter. Yeah. And so
frankly, I don't expect Brock Purdy to be a starter. I think the expectation should be that he's a quality backup like Colt McCoy.
Right.
You drafted him with the last pick. You can't be like, this is our franchise quarterback.
So if he can get us 3 wins over the next 5 games, and the 49ers go into the playoffs at 11-6, that's the 3 seed, They're good to go. They've got a home playoff game in the first round. He did his job. And the expectations should be set for him. Set us up for somebody else to come back, because that takes a lot of pressure off of Purdy to just, be that. Because if Purdy's the guy, then every time he struggles, it's a memorandum on the 49ers' chances for the rest of the season, which is a lot of pressure to put on a young guy. Every time he makes a bad read, the odds of the Super Bowl are changing dynamically in the moment, So it's better for him to just have one singular goal, and then the rest is cake. But I think you're gonna see him do well over the next 2 games. He'll have a 4-day window where no one will have time to adjust to him. He's going to play the Buccaneers. 4 days later, he's going to play the Seahawks. It's basically too short of a period of time for anybody to build a book on him. And then after that, you'll have 11 days where the next team is going to be able to build a book. Washington's got a good defense, right? And you're going to see him tail off at the end of the season. And that's fine. That's fine. That's the expected result. If they can get to the playoffs and get to Jimmy or get to Lance, then they could still have a shot. But if it's really no Jimmy, no Lance, and we are okay with sticking around with a 7th-round pick at quarterback and didn't even try to add anybody, it feels like they waved a white flag and they went, oh, great, we got the perfect excuse.
Agreed.
I don't want it to be that. I really don't want it to be that. But doesn't it feel a little bit like they've got the excuse now and they're comfortable?
Yeah,
right?
Hey, it would be a great story if we won, but what do you really expect? Third-string quarterback.
And that, as a 49er fan, that sucks. You feel like, even if it was like, and I don't like Baker Mayfield, but even if you were like, oh, well, we called on these, 6 people or whatever, and we feel like we have a better shot. But no, it feels like they were like, yeah, we've got Purdy in the building. We added a guy that, in Josh Johnson that's been on our practice squad. We're good. Like not checking on Mahomes and Watson because you're going to sign, whoever as a free agent in the offseason, Cousins as a free agent in the offseason. It feels like they did that kind of due diligence, right? Did they call Cam Newton? Did they call anybody? Or did they just go, okay, we're good. We've got an excuse now. And that's the kind of thing that, and I keep coming back to every time I call you, I keep trying to end with this. The Yorks allow the Shanahan to be that way. The standard isn't high enough.
Yeah.
You know what I want to see for this city? I want to see a new ownership come in, buy this team, raise the standard, bring the team back to San Francisco where it belongs, build a beautiful stadium, rejuvenate an entire community, be the hope and pride of San Francisco again. And instead, we're okay because we have an excuse. Screw that, man.
Yep.
Agreed. Screw that.
Great call, Josh. Thanks for calling in, man. That was great.
Have a good one, man.